today we are going to read the story, The Game of Tag. But before we start, I want you to think if there's ever been a time when you were left out during something. Maybe that be an activity outside on the playground during indoor recess, maybe on a playdate with a friend. What were you left out of? And how did that make you feel? So take a few minutes just to think about that. You can pause the video if you need more time to think. So being left out hurts. Although everyone can't play together all the time, it is really important to be kind and try your best to help everybody feel included. In the story that we're going to read, a child does not want to invite someone else to play, but he and his friends later discover what it feels like to be excluded or left out by others when they're doing something. As you listen to the story, think about what the characters might be thinking and feeling when they are the ones left out, and also when they're the ones that are excluding others. One day on his way home from school, Kenny stopped along the path and plopped onto a bench, sighing loudly. As he looked across the park, he saw a lot of kids talking and laughing as they headed toward the playground, the ball fields, or their homes. Kenny watched a couple of kids race past him on scooters, and he felt like the only person in the world with nothing to do. Just down the path, Annie and Jordan were talking about their plans for the afternoon. "Hey, look, it's Kenny," said Annie, pointing toward the bench up ahead. "Maybe we should ask him to come to the playground with us." Jordan frowned a little. "He's probably just waiting for someone." "What if we just ask him?" said Annie, walking more quickly down the path. Jordan stopped and crossed his arms. "I thought it was just going to be us hanging out today. We planned it a week ago." "But Kenny is all by himself," said Annie. "What if we all hang out together?" "Oh, all right," agreed Jordan. "I guess we can invite him." Kenny's face lit up when his friends asked him to come to the playground with them. "I was feeling really lonely this afternoon," he explained. "Oh, really?" asked Jordan. "Well, I'm glad we stopped and asked you to come." When the three friends got to the playground, they saw a lot of kids that they didn't know. "Those kids don't go to Harmony Street School," said Jordan. As they started running onto the playground, a kid with red hair came over and stood in front of them, with her arms crossed. "We're already playing tag," she said. "No one else can play here, or you'll be in our way." "But the other playground is all the way across the park," Jordan protested. "Do you think that this girl crossing her arms who comes over and says that they can't play there is a nice thing? Is she including them or excluding them?" "Yeah, I think she's overly excluding them. They don't have to necessarily play with her and her friends, but they shouldn't have to leave the park so that her friends and her can play tag." Just then, a few more kids came their way. "Do you want to play tag with us?" one of them asked. The red-haired kid looked at him and shook her head. "They're from a different school," she whispered. Her friend laughed. "Oh, it's okay," he said. "It's not like we own the playground. Let's all just play together." So the redhead kid agreed to let Jordan, Annie, and Kenny join the game of tag. Did the one kid include or exclude Jordan, Annie, and Kenny? Very good. He included them. He said, "It's okay. We don't own the playground. We can all just play together." So he's including Kenny, Jordan, and Annie in their game of tag. The redhead kid was it. Everyone scattered across the playground, and then she called, "Okay, here I come." The red-haired kid ran after one of her friends, but he made it safely back to home base. Then she ran after another one of her friends. Then she ran after another friend. Annie, Kenny, and Jordan waited for her to try to catch them too, but she didn't even come their way. Well, this isn't very much fun, grumbled Kenny. So is the red-haired kid including or excluding Annie, Kenny, and Jordan? Very good. Even though they're playing the game of tag, it seems that she is not even chasing after them. So she's not really playing with them and incorporating them in the game. So she's excluding them, which isn't very nice. Annie ran very close to the red-haired kid, but she still didn't try to catch her. Finally, Annie stopped and looked right at her. Hey, she said, you told us that we could play with you, but you're not really letting us play. You aren't even trying to tag us. That's not fair. The kid's cheeks turned as red as her hair. Yeah, you're right, she admitted. I love that Annie was able to stand up for herself. I find that's a very difficult thing to do, to stand up for yourself. But Annie did it and got her point across. So that was really great of Annie. And I wonder now if the red-haired girl will now decide to include them. Then the red-haired kid smiled at Annie. Sorry I was leaving you out of the game, she said. Then she reached out and tapped Annie on the arm. Tag, you're it, she yelled, and ran toward home base as Annie laughed and dashed after her. While Jordan, Annie, and Kenny played tag with their new friends, they found out that one of the kids was going to be a student at Harmony Street School next year, and that Jordan and the red-haired kid went to the same summer camp. Even though the kids were from different schools, they actually had a lot in common. Even though these students had differences, it's nice to see that they were all able to play with each other. And from getting to know each other and playing on the playground, they were able to find out some really cool things about each other. Like, for instance, one of those students is going to be at Harmony Street School next year. And Jordan actually goes to camp, to the same summer camp, as one of the other kids who's playing with them on the playground. It's a great way to make friends and to get to know people by including everyone. And then at the end of the day, everyone has a good time. Whoever is it has to close their eyes and listen for the other players to move around so you can find them and tag them. It makes the game a lot harder. Everyone agreed to give it a try, and it was Jordan's turn to be it next. Do we think this is a good idea to have the person who's it close their eyes and try to find the players? I don't know. We'll see if this is a good idea. I'll just watch you play, said Jordan, walking over to sit on a bench. The red-haired kid followed him. Why don't you want to play with us anymore? She asked. Jordan pointing to his ear. I wear hearing aids, but when it's really noisy like this, like it is at a playground, it's hard for me to hear. If I close my eyes, I don't think I'll be able to find anyone, so I'll just watch. The red-haired kid grabbed Jordan's hand and pulled him to his feet. What if we thought of another way to make it work, she said. We aren't going to leave you out of the game. So in this moment, what does the red-haired kid do? Good, she wants to include and is trying to find a way to include Jordan in the game of tag. Have we seen that the red-haired girl knows what it feels like to be excluded? I don't know. I don't think so, right? We haven't seen an instance where she's been excluded. But does she know how it feels to exclude somebody? Yes, very good. In the beginning, we see that she excludes Jordan, Kenny, and Annie in the game of tag. How do we think that made her feel when she found out that she was excluding them? Yeah, I would say maybe embarrassed. That's a good word. And she now is making sure that she excludes or includes, includes everyone and does not exclude anyone from the game of tag. The kids talked and decided that they would play partner tag. Partners would have to link their arms and stay together during the game. Jordan's partner was the red haired kid. When they were it, they closed their eyes and crossed their arms together. She would tell Jordan when she heard the other players move, and then they would feel around together and try to tag them. It was a lot of fun to play that way. I really love that the red haired girl decided that she was going to really stand up for Jordan and include him in a way that was amazing because she tried to find another, instead of just saying, we're not going to play, she tried to find a compromise with the rest of the kids who were playing to make sure that Jordan would be included and that he could play in a way that made him feel safe and happy. When it was time to go home for dinner, everyone said goodbye to their new friends. Thanks for including us, Annie called as she waved at the other kids. Sure thing, said the red haired kid. It was a lot more fun including everyone. I agree with that. I think it is a lot more fun to include everyone. I really love how everyone was able to include everyone in the game of tag. And I think they all realized how much more fun they had when everyone was included. You feel bad when you are excluded, but you also feel bad when you are excluding friends. It's not fun to see a friend sad in the corner, not being included in the game. So I really love that they were able to include everyone. And I really like how the girl was able to include Jordan in the game when he thought that he would not be able to participate. So instead of letting Jordan just sit on the side by himself, she made a compromise and she thought of a new idea that would allow Jordan to play. So instead of having him play on his own, they partnered up and closed their eyes. So everyone else got to play tag the way they wanted by closing their eyes and making it challenging. But Jordan was still able to play even though he couldn't hear because his partner would hear for him. So this is a wonderful story about maybe in the beginning excluding somebody, but realizing that excluding someone is not kind behavior. So I love how at the end everyone was included and everyone had so much fun.